Welcome back to What's Not Sport. I am your host, Will O'Connor. And look, we're here, episode 37 of, the Pulse Check. It's part of our new brand if you hadn't picked up on that yet. Where do I begin? We have shot into NRL finals week 1. We have just had the elimination finals of the AFL. So finals round on week 2. And we have just had the conclusion of the NRLW regular season. So we are about to kick off NRLW finals this week as well. Not only that, for all those clubby heads out there, including myself, we kick off the summer now, pretty much, with the start of the professional Iron Series. Saturday and Sunday, the Shaw and Partners Iron Series kicks off with its trials. Now, we already have 13 professional athletes into the finals, or into the series, I should say. Now we get to see who the next 15 will be, and we'll run through that very quickly. We've got a lot of things to cover this week on the podcast. We've scrapped quite a few segments. It is what it is. I'm sorry if you do like those segments. You're missing out on them this week. No rookie watch. No sporting moment of the week, unfortunately. We need to knuckle down and get through the work that we have here today. So let's get right into it, and let's start off with the Shaw and Partners Iron Series. So we'll kick off this weekend at Tugun Beach. Now, this is maybe the third or fourth year that the trials are held at Tugun. It's a fantastic place to hold the trials. I always love being down there every year and watching it. I haven't yet raced at the trials there. I have raced many races at Tugun, but I haven't actually put my foot on the line for the Iron Series trials. Maybe that'll come next year. I'm a bit sad I won't be down there this year for the trials due to some other commitments, some more important commitments, I might say. But it is what it is, and nonetheless, you will get the coverage from me, and I'm sure I will be pumping out content for it. Quick drinks break. Coca-Cola. Right, sorry, back to it. The forecast says it's going to be under a metre swell, so maybe 2 foot. Probably windy, probably choppy. Tugun always likes to throw up some unknown, tricky conditions, so that's going to be... Well, it's going to make for super exciting racing, which I love. I love watching exciting racing. I love tricky conditions. It really tests athletes and puts them out there and shows who really should and who really deserves to be in the series. Now, I'm not going to go on and talk about the Shaw and Partners Iron Series trial list, how there's, I believe, let's have a look, 127 male athletes, if I'm correct on that. There's 128 open males and 79 females. So the field is just growing bigger and bigger every year. Now, in that, how the formats, let's talk formats before we get into anything. The formats on Saturday, there are 3 races. And in those 3 races, if it loads for me, I'll be able to tell you what they are. You are guaranteed only 2 races on the Saturday. Those 2 races, we kick it off with a soft sand run followed by a traditional, by an enduro traditional course iron. It says, I think there's stuff up. It says approximately 10 to 12 minutes duration. I think that's incorrect because a soft sand run before the enduro will be 3 minutes. The order will be run, board, ski. The run, and then board, ski, swim, and you do that twice. So, pardon me, that's really testing some athletes there and their abilities, really going out hard in the first race. That's huge, having enduro first. Traditionally, they have a shorter traditional race and then a traditional iron and finish off with an enduro on Saturday that you have to qualify for. So that's a bit of a spin up straight away. Next up is the traditional iron course. The order for that will be ski, board, swim, probably around 15 minutes. And the day is just a an enduro traditional course again, approximately 20 to 25 minutes. Swim, ski, board, and you do that twice. Now, reading off that, I don't think race 1 will be the soft sand enduro because it's saying the approximate time is 10 to 12 minutes. I think it will be the shorter traditional that we are used to seeing at the trials on the first day. I could be wrong with that. Now, you have to be in the top 40 to qualify for the third race. If you don't make the top 30, you don't make the top 40, you don't get to race a third time on the Saturday. From there, the top 25 male and female athletes, based on the combined points of the 3 races, will qualify for the finals on Sunday. Now, on Sunday, we start off with the enduro traditional course. I think that'll have a soft sand run. I could be wrong, but it's board, ski, swim, and you do that twice. After that, you then have a traditional iron, 15 minutes, swim, board, ski, and then after that, a short traditional one, 10 minutes, ski, swim, board. Now, from the first race, if you come in the top 5, you are done, your day is done, and you go straight into the professional series. You don't have to worry about doing 2 more irons. From there, there'll be 10 more athletes that their combined total point score of the Sunday. They will then go and continue on. Sorry, I'm just reading it here. It says 6 to everyone else. The remaining 20 competitors will receive point score from the other races. And yeah, that means you're going off 3 races. But if you come top 5, bang, you're straight in, no point score for you. And then the next 20 fight for that top 10 position to make the Shaw and Partners Iron Series. So now we've already got 13 athletes that have qualified for the series, 12 that have auto re-qualified from the previous series, and we get 1 from the next gen. So let's run through it. In the men's, we'll go from our winner last year, Connor Maggs, Joel Piper, Zach Morris, Matt Bevilacqua, Finn Askew, Ali Day, Corey Taylor, Ethan Callahan, Callum Brennan, Riley Harlan, Joe Collins, Braden Casamento, and the next gen winner from last season, Byron Diekman, a good friend of the podcast. We've had him on before. We might even try and get him on again before the Iron Series round 1 starts. We'll see what happens there. Now, for our female athletes, we'll go from our winner again of the last series and go from there. Lucy Derbyshire, Tiani Massey, Lizzie Wellborn, Electra Outram, Emma Woods, Olivia Corrin, Naomi Scott, Annalise Kibble, Lana Rogers, Carla Papak, Jasmine Railwood, Mia Cook, and the next gen winner, Olivia Clues. So that is quite a stacked field in both the men's and women's already. Now there's another 15 spots up for grab. I'm not going to run through all 15. I originally was only going to say 5 athletes to watch out for. Now I'm going to run through 10 of each just because as I wrote down 5, I just went, I missed out on more. And as I wrote 10, I could have written 30 in both fields. Like, it's just stacked. So I've decided I'm only going to do 10. We'll kick it off with the men's first. Now, in this list, in both the men's and women's, you'll notice there are quite a few from the same clubs. These clubs are powerhouses. We've got Burleigh Surf Club in this, right? Quite a few in the men's and women's. That is a testament to Michael King and the Iron program that he's running down at Burleigh. It is massive. You'll also notice your other powerhouses like Alex Headlands, Newport, Northcliffe, obviously. Like, there's quite a few of those athletes in it as well. Now, let's kick it off with the men. Well, we get someone coming back to the sport after a break from a while. Had to go through a tough process to get cleared to come back into the sport. That's Jai Timperley. The notorious shrimp is back. We saw him race a few times last season. He's back again this year. From what I've seen on Instagram and what I hear, he is fired up, ready to go. So we know how good he was in the series. He was top 3 in the 2020 series, 2020-21 series, 21-22. And I think the 22 to 23, and then 23, 24, and 24, 25. Unfortunately, we did not see him race. I believe that's right. I could be wrong now. But from memory, we've missed him, and I'm so excited to see him back. I 100% think we will see him qualify through the series, and it's just it's incredible to have him back. Oh wait, hang on. It's just come across my list that there's not this man. This man's not in. No Ben Carberry on the Iron Series entered in the Iron Series trials. That is huge. Who else are we? Kendrick Louis. He's not in there. We heard on the 10 Talk podcast that he wouldn't be racing. Ben Carberry, that's huge not having him in. He someone who came runner up just a few seasons ago and can have an incredible series. Oh, that surprises me. I'm gonna miss watching big carbs. Anyway, that changed my list. That's all right. We'll move on. Anyway, so yeah, I've got Jai Timperley, the shrimp, making it through to the series. He's back. I've also then got your traditionals who have already been in the series. A lot of these guys are quite experts, I'd say. They've done quite a few series themselves. So I've got Jackson Borg, Dan Collins, Corey Fletcher, another Burley, Cooper Williams. How can you not have Cooper Williams? He's an incredible athlete. Adam Palmer, Tannen Linden, another Burley, Sean Riley. Now this one stuck out to me a little bit. Noah Steiner, watch out for him, and Max Beatty. So that's just 10 names I'm putting on notice. We'll review if I get any of those right. But that's 5 other athletes. There's like probably 20 more athletes I haven't even mentioned. Well, I know there's 20 more athletes I haven't mentioned. I've left blank just because I didn't want to get too far into it. Give myself some wriggle room. Let's jump into the girls. As I said, this is going to be heavily dominated by those powerhouse clubs, especially Burleigh, Newport, and Northcliffe, like the Gone girls and Newport girls, Burleigh girls, just huge groups of strong girls. But let's kick it off. Right. Piper Harrison, what can I say? She's going to be in the series. We've seen her do it the last 2 seasons. We've seen her dominate World Ocean Series as an MVP before. We'll see her back in the series this year. We see the return of Taylor Halliday. I don't think we would be seeing her entered if she didn't think she could make the series. So that's going to be super exciting to see her. Pippi Tapanya, she was in the series last year as a second year 17. That's incredible to say you've already made the series at such a young age. She goes around again. Lily O'Sullivan has to go through the trials. Like, she won the world board and swim title last season, has just a stacked resume, and she didn't even re-qualify last season. So she has to go around through the trials again. She'll make it through. I'm sure of it. Lily Finardi, one of the Northcliffe girls, wouldn't be her first series, hasn't been in it for a few years. Katie Ree's just a young gun, just narrowly missed out on the series last season. Hannah Scully, just an expert on the craft, someone who has done the series so many years. I have no doubt in my mind that we won't see her again. That we will. I have no doubt in my mind that we will see her again. Sorry, that came out wrong. Charlotte Cross, someone who's done it before, like another person, like I'm saying, from Burleigh, just someone else that has been there. Bella Williams made the move from Northcliffe to go to Burleigh Heads to train under Michael King. From what I hear, she's moving well. She hasn't been in a series for a few years. It will be very interesting. I reckon we see her in the series under new colours. And to round it out, we got Dom Stitt, someone up on the sunny coast, Mooloolaba. They're in a rebuild, and she has been in the forefront of that, and she has been performing well. So there you go. Those are my 10 picks. 15 qualify. We'll go run through it afterwards and see if I'm right or wrong. Now let's jump into footy. We'll start off with the AFL recap. We had the elimination finals this weekend in the AFL. They did not disappoint. We had Adelaide versus Hawthorn and the Brisbane versus Suns. I had Hawks tipped to beat Adelaide, and I had the Suns tipped to beat Brisbane. Man, oh man, I got the Hawks tip right. Up the Hawks. Bit of hock ball for you Hawthorn fans, including myself. They're going to the grand final. I was on the Suns bandwagon as well. They didn't quite get there. A little bit disappointed in that. Brisbane were quite ruthless to them. Suns had a great first half. I was there. Didn't get any content out. Sorry, fans. But now that leaves us with a 50% tipping rate again. There's only 2 games, so at least we got one right. Now we've only got 2 games. Again, we got the preliminary finals in the AFL. Super exciting times. We got Hawthorn versus... I don't know how that... It's Cats, isn't it? Apologies. Yep, so we got Geelong versus Hawks and Collingwood versus Brisbane. Back in the Hawks. I can't not back them. We'll get the win here. We'll make the grand final and we'll win it. We'll win it from 8th place. I think that's insane. In the other, we then have, the Pies versus the Lions. I'm a Queenslander. I just can't not go for the Brisbane Lions. I think we get a Hawks-Brisbane grand final. So I'm backing that. Hawks to win, Brisbane to win, Hawks-Brizzy final. Up the Hawks. Hawk ball. Now let's move on to NRLW recap. The girls have concluded another season of NRLW. Well, regular season, I should say. They then now get to go into finals. The top 6 is decided and done. We had a few equations to do, like if the Roosters lost on the weekend and the Broncos won, that means the Broncos get the minor premiership, but it didn't happen. The other equation was if the Eels or Bulldogs, one of them win, they could be in finals. Like the Eels, if they won, they had a better chance than what the Bulldogs did if they won. The Eels won. They were so close to the top 6. They needed the Titans to lose. Didn't quite happen. So let's run through it. I had the Roosters tipped to beat the Sharks. I had the Eels tipped to beat the Bulldogs. The Broncos to beat the Cowboys. The Raiders to beat the Titans. The Warriors to beat the Tigers. The Knights to get victory. And the Knights to finish off and get victory over the Roosters. We tipped the Roosters. They absolutely smashed the Sharks 40-10. Not a doubt in my mind about that. They sewed up the minor premiership there. Little side note there. The Strange family, not a Strange family, the Strange family. So we've got Jasmine Strange and her younger brother, Ethan Strange, both tied up, and their father as coach of the NRLW Roosters. They all tied up the minor premiership for their respective clubs in competitions. Can they sew up the grand finals? That would be history made right there. It would be pretty cool to see. I'm just saying that. Now, we then had the Eels absolutely crush the Bulldogs 46-14. Another tip right there. It was looking good for the Eels. They then, getting that win, put them in 6th place, and then pending the result of the Titans would mean if they were or were not in the finals. The Broncos absolutely demolished the Cowboys 50-4. That's another tip right there. Now we get a little bit iffy with the tips. Well, not quite iffy, but we had the Raiders beating the Titans. Oh, they were looking so good. They were so close. Went to Golden Point. The Titans sewed it up 17-16. They seal the deal, the Titans, and they make the finals. Congratulations. That then crushed the Eels' hopes. And we had a top 6 before the end of the round was done. We then had the Warriors girls absolutely smash the Tigers 44-6. And to finish off the round was actually quite a good game. One of the closer games. We only had 2 out of the 6 games really close. The rest were just open water smashings. It was the Knights versus Dragons. The Knights got the win 30-22. But damn, the Dragon Girls put on a clinic at the start of the game. Knights fought back and they got the win. It was a very good effort. I've got 5 out of 6 tips this week right for the NRLW, so can't complain. Very happy to end the regular season like that, and it's good to get ready for finals. Now, things to note heading into the finals, because it's 1 to 6, it means first and second, they get a rest week and they go straight to preliminary finals. That means third and sixth, fourth and fifth play each other. So we got the Knights versus Titans and the Cowboys versus Sharks. I reckon we see the Titans clutch up and get the win over the Knights, and the Sharks to beat the Cowboys. Those are my two tips. That's all I've got. There's no other NRLW games this week. That's all I've got. Let's move on to the NRL. First week of finals. It was a doozy. Close games, I'd say, even though it was all within two converted tries. The final scores. So very close, I would say. Let's run through it. We had Storm versus Bulldogs, the Wars versus Panthers, the Sharks versus Roosters, and the Raiders versus Broncos. I had the Storm tipped, I had the Wars tipped, I had the Sharks tipped, and I had the Raiders tipped. Might start crying on the podcast, but not yet. Not yet, I won't. To kick us off on Friday, so no more Thursday night footy for us now. Start off with an exciting game. I'm going to pull up the scores just to make sure I've got all the facts right here. Where is my NRL app? Here we go. Yeah, 26-18. It was a good game. It really was. No Pappenhausen. Pezzett came in and did an incredible job for the Storm. We saw injuries. The Bulldogs captain went down. Stephen Crichton was out, but that brought in Toby Sexton. Got on the field and he scored the first try for the Bulldogs. If that isn't a sign that they've dropped the wrong man, I don't know what is. He just proves that he's a good player and he should be still playing. He was part of that side that put him in put him in position one on the ladder for such a long time. Like, I understand that the whole idea of the Bulldogs getting Galvin is a long-term thing, but Sexton wasn't doing a bad job. He was doing an incredible job, and he was really helping them like win the comp. Like, anyway, the Storm did it got close for a little bit there. I even think the Dogs were in the lead 18-12 at one point. Then Wishart scored, and then Warbrick scored to help take the win over the Doggies. And so they move on to prelims. Bulldogs then now have to play in the elimination finals. It was a good way to start finals footy. We then had the Warriors versus Panthers game. It was amping up to be a great one. I was super excited for it, and I won't lie, a little disappointed at the outcome. The Warriors have had a tough season. They were in the top 4 for probably 80% of the season, maybe a little bit less, maybe 70% of the season. They were top 4. They fought so many tough battles with so many injured players, and it looked like they were going to hold on to the top 4, and they just were unlucky. They then had to play Panthers in finals footy, which is a tough ask to do, even though that the Panthers came 7th or 8th. Sorry, 8th. 7th, I mean, sorry. Look, overall, I think the NRL needs to review the reffing. I'm not going to bag any refs, but I will point out a few things. There were errors made in that game that if they're pulled up on or if they're not given, it's a completely different game, and we probably see the Warriors get close, if not beat the Panthers. It is an unfortunate thing to say because I don't think it was a fair game. I'll be honest on that. I was watching it and there was double movement. There were knock-ons. There were things that weren't called. That weren't picked up on. And yes, there were like the Wires did suffer a bit in their defense, but tries given and plays given or not picked up on benefiting Panthers. And it just makes it so much harder for the Warriors. I'm not going to go into too much depth about it, not yet at least, but that's what I think. I'm not going to slam. They're trying to do the best they can, but I just feel like you're picking up on a lot of things with some teams and not for the other, and it's just not seeming fair. It seems like the reffing just needs to have a look at overall in the game. Talk to me about that, fans. Tell me what you think about that. I just think it's an unfortunate way to end the Warriors' good season. Like, they were in the top 4 for so long, and then they just missed out at the end, and then they get knocked down the first round of finals. Like, just something I believe is unfair. It's just so unfortunate for them. It's still a good season. Like, keep your heads high. Right, let's move on. The Sharks Roosters game. It was going to be a tough one, but I did have the Sharks picked, and they did provide good footy, 20-10. Scoring a double was pretty good for the Sharks. And Rudolph finishing it off. Nico Hines was good. He avoided his ban, and then, the judiciary ended up removing their charge on Nico so he could play finals footy. And he proved to be good for him. Angus Crichton and Mark Nwanga'ita-Wase did score, but it just was not enough for the Roosters. Like, in all honesty, I won't say the Sharks. The Sharks have been quiet achievers. Like, that's what I'm going to say. Like, they've been quiet this season. They have just been there. They've been lurking the whole time. They've been very threatening the whole time this season, and now, like, they're showing, but they won't get through the elimination finals. We'll get to that in a second, but like, I think they've been the silent assassins. Like, to finish fifth, to finish fifth is an incredible feat from them, and they've just done it so quietly, and I don't mind that. Like, they've just gone about their work. There hasn't been too much on them in the media. Maybe that's because I'm so tied up with the Raiders, but compared to the publicity of other teams, the Sharks have done really well to remain quiet and under the radar. They are very threatening, and they have been effective. Now, I don't want to talk about it, but I will. The Raiders-Broncos games. It breaks my heart into a million pieces. How did we let it come to this? Broncos, they got the win over the Raiders. Shatters my heart to say that. The Raiders, how do they win twice and still manage to lose? I don't know if I can talk about it. I said this earlier. I don't think the representation of reffing at the moment is very good. I mentioned it about the Warriors Panthers game, and I'm going to mention it now. I'm going to bring up the refs. If you're a Broncos fan, you're probably going to say that the ref did nothing. The ref was benefiting the Raiders, but then Raiders fans are going to say the ref was on the Broncos side. I don't care about that, okay? There were horrible calls called in that for both teams. Like, I don't want to bag refs. Like, it's their job. They're doing the best they can, but some of these decisions are just cooked. Like, and we want to get into rules. We'll dive into that. But there needs to be a cleanup and a fixing. And they mentioned on NRL 360 last night that Ashley Klein got a passing grade for that game and will be reffing another game, another finals game this weekend. I just don't understand how that's possible. That is, I don't want to, that was not a good reffing game from Ashley Klein. I don't want to bag him, but there just has to be things said. It just, didn't make sense. I will call out the Hudson Young and Reece Walsh incident. Yes, the Raiders forced an error out of the Broncos, and Hudson Young and Reece Walsh had a bit of a tiff. How is a headbutt not a send-off in today's game? In the rule books, it is. And, like, Broncos fans, you're 100% going to bring up Morgan Smithy's incident earlier in the round 20. Let's just touch on this first. Round 17, I think it was, Raiders versus Tigers. Morgan Smithy's headbutts another player. Let's just have a look at the situations here. The Reece Walsh and Morgan Smithy's. We'll run through the Morgan Smithy's ones first. He's trying to break out of a tackle to be able to play on the ball and get it. Yes, he does headbutt something. Yes, he should have been sin bin. Sorry, not sin bin. He should have been sent off. That's it. I 100% agree with that statement that so many people are talking about. And I don't want to bring in the importance of games, but that is also a factor. But he should have been sent off. I agree with that. Unlike Reece Walsh, the game has stopped. The Raiders have forced an error out of the Broncos. Hudson Young is celebrating and getting in Reece Walsh's ears, and he's talking a bit of chirp. He's trying to get inside Reece Walsh's head. If your coach is not telling you to get in the head of a star player, then they probably shouldn't be your coach. They should be going, get into this guy's head. We can get in his head. We've won the game. And that's all Hudson Young was doing. It didn't really touch him. He just got up in his ear and started chirping. Walsh then headsbutt. I don't care how soft the headbutt was, but he does make forceful contact, intentional forceful contact with his head into Hudson Young's head. And it's not even in the field of play. The game has stopped. To me, that's a send-off. To everyone, that is a send-off. How Ashley Klein goes, Hudson Young, come here. You've initiated that. Hang on, he's celebrating. Can a player not celebrate for forcing an error? Bang, 10 in the bin for initiating that. Reece Walsh, come here. 10 in the bin for a headbutt. Now, how is saying words and chirping to the opposition have the same impact as a forceful decision to headbutt someone? It's not. And then on top of that, the Broncos then get the penalty. The thing is, if Reece Walsh doesn't react, nothing comes from it, and it's the Raiders' ball. Play on, I believe from memory, it was a knock on, and it's Raiders' feet of the scrum. But because Reece Walsh acts and headbutts him, there's two sin bins, and they get the penalty. How on earth is that fair? Like, this is just the only, because this one is controversial, and a lot of people can agree. Even Broncos fans will agree on this one. Some of them, at least. Some with their heads screwed on will. There's a lot of other calls in this game that I'm not even going to mention. On both sides, I will say the reffing was not one way, but at times it was. But sometimes it'll be one way to the Raiders. Sometimes it'll be one way to the Broncos. That's not how you ref a game. Here's what you do in this situation. You go by the rule books and you go, Reece Walsh headbutts Hudson Young, you're sent off. Bang. Done. Or if you're going to do what you do, Hudson Young, 10 in the bin. Well, you got to at least send off Reece Walsh and give the penalty to the Raiders. Or you go, boys, break it up, Raiders ball, scrum feet, or Raiders penalty. You don't punish the Raiders worse than what the Broncos when Reece Walsh headbutts someone when Hudson Young actually didn't do anything wrong. But yeah, those are just my points on it. But it should have what it should have been. Reece sent off, you were done for the day. Raiders penalty. But it wasn't. It wasn't at the end of the day, and we lost. Nonetheless, it was possibly one of the best games I've ever seen of the last half hour of a game. Not only did we get a full 80 minutes, we got 10 minutes of extra time and then 4 minutes of golden point afterwards. The Raiders thought we had won at full time. Reece Walsh had missed the kick, missed a field goal opportunity, but they brought it back at full time, celebrating, whistle blown, but then bunkers reviewed, oh no, Zach Hosking has made contact with the kicker's foot, putting the kicker in a dangerous position. Reece Walsh played it, as a lot of players have been doing. Rules are rules. That's a penalty. Broncos, I don't understand. I honestly, this is not saying that or anything, but I don't understand how a penalty on that then gets a 10 meter, you get a penalty 10 meters out in front of the goal line, in front of the goal, so you can kick a 2-point conversion. That genuinely, that's a head scratcher for me. I know that's a rule, but I don't know why, and I don't know how that is fair. Anyway, we move on from that. Anyway, they get 2 points. We go into extra time. 2 halves of extra time, 5 minutes. No one scores. We then move into golden point. A couple minutes of golden point. Raiders kick. Jed Stewart goes up, taps the ball back, and the Raiders score. Game over. Raiders are awarded the try. I've celebrated for the second time in the same night. Hang on. They review it. Jed Stewart is called to have knocked the ball on by the bunker and by the refs. Doesn't matter if I agree with that or not. That's what the call is. Okay. Broncos ball. No try Raiders. Are you serious? The Broncos then charge down the field, give the ball to Ben Hunt, and he slots in a field goal. Game over, 29-28 Broncos. Breaks my heart. Let's leave it there. I'm devastated. But we move on. It's the same goal, different path now. We go into elimination finals. Saturday night, 7:50, we got the Raiders versus Sharks. 4 o'clock, 4:05 on Sunday, we've got the Bulldogs versus Panthers. Now, I'm not going past the Raiders. The Raiders will demolish the Sharks. We will then face the Storm in the preliminary finals. We will pump the Storm in Melbourne on the Friday night. And then we will go on to win the grand final against the Broncos. It will be a rematch of the ages. And the Raiders will pump the Broncos 100-0. But then we got to talk about the other elimination final, Bulldogs, Panthers. I'm backing the Bulldogs. This is before Team List Tuesday comes out. This is right now, it's midday Tuesday. We've got 3 hours before the team list come out. If the Bulldogs have Sexton starting, they win this final. If they don't win. But I'm backing that the Bulldogs will be smart enough to play Sexton. And game over, Panthers goodbye, and we wrap it up there. So Raiders and Bulldogs to win. Now, I have been recording for 40 minutes. Let's call it a day. We will review next week what happens this week in finals in AFL, NRLW, and NRL. We'll talk about our Shore and Partners Iron Series qualifiers, who made it into the series, and then we'll have a look at the next carnival in the World Ocean Series. The World Ocean Series kicks off in Australia at Burleigh. Not this Saturday, well, not this Friday, the following Friday. So 2 weekends of racing in a row. It'll be a doozy. It'll be a good one. I'll cover that next week. I won't have a podcast come out till probably Wednesday or Thursday. That's all right because we have no Thursday night footy, so I can be a bit late. But that's the pod done now. Go the milk. Thanks for tuning in to What's Not Sport. This is episode 37 of the Pulse Check, and I don't know what's happening with footy. I'm just happy to be here.